Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And my party brings our boat in with us into the dungeon just so we have something to sleep in.
And joining us today for I don't know if you actually looked up how many times, at least almost half a dozen times, the wonderful Max Moon. How's it going, Max?
I'm doing good. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me again. Love talking with you.
This is
Always.
the fifth time. Oh,
That's
sorry.
it?
No, this is the sixth time.
Yeah, that's what I'm
No,
saying.
I'm sorry. This is the seventh time.
All right, you want to double
Sure.
check? Is it eight?
Oh my God, I forgot about the Black God's Kiss interview as well. You were there for that too. So this is the eighth time you've been on the show.
I think that's
Rumpus?
the second most.
Yes, I am counting Rumpus.
No, outside of maybe like the people that are actually part of the show, which like I would say Josh and Stella are definitely like I would consider them part of the show. I think it's Jert and then Max. I think you're number two here. And Chris P. Wolf, the wonderful Chris P. Wolf in chat, the first thing they said, which is the first thing Hunter said, which is the first thing I said, was Max's glasses game has put us all to shame. Yeah.
I love glasses compliments.
Yeah, they're
So
great.
Thank you.
They're wonderful specs. For those in podcast land, I'm not going to describe them. You're missing out. Go watch us on YouTube.
Watch the show.
Yeah. So Max, yes, for the apparently eighth time, thank you so much for coming on. I was going to bring down my whole stack of 12 years, but then I was like, it's a shelf at this point. I didn't, but all of this stack and the whole stack behind it, this is all pretty much 12 years and Abyss of Hallucinations. And today, we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. I'm sure we'll tangent as we always do, but ostensibly we're here to talk about 12 Years at Sea, which is on Kickstarter literally as of like 3 hours ago.
Yeah, I am super stoked about this. The campaign's off to a great start, just like funded right away, which is cool. And we just broke the first stretch goal, which means Phil, who did Solitary Defilement, 1d10 plus 5, also does Dungeon Synth as Dark Valley. And so we're getting a soundtrack for it as well.
Perfect.
So that's
very
exciting.
nice. Yeah, you're already double the goal. 3 hours into the campaign with 24 days to go. So I think you're gonna make it. I think you're gonna get there. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so 12 Years at Sea. So I guess the first, so obviously, so I know the answer to some of these questions because this is like my favorite game and I'm obsessed with it. Everything you've kind of done for 12 years up to this point is kind of an expansion, right? Like it's called the Demon Lord expansion, even though you can just kind of like play it on its own. And like there's the Village expansion. Is 12 Years at Sea it says it's a seafaring expansion. Are you calling it an expansion or would you say this is a whole new thing?
Well, okay, so I say it's an expansion just to make sure it's clear that you do still need the core zine to play it, because I didn't put all the mechanics in it that are repeat mechanics. So like your basic like combat table is not in there. That's you got to have the core zine for that. But there's a difference between the two, like Demon Lord expansion, 12 Years at Sea versus like the Village expansion. Like Village just adds into any game of 12 years you're playing, but like 12 Years at Sea is and Demon Lord is like this too. It adds a new quest. So this one though is the most like the biggest build on 12 years that I've done. 12 Years at Sea is. So this one adds a whole new mode of like seafaring, so exploring. So you still have like you can just like migrate from exploring, traveling across the land into traveling at sea, but there's a whole different set of mechanics with like mutiny checks and stuff like that, and like crafting a vessel if you get marooned, and curses and portents, and like so there's just like it's definitely more complicated than previous 12 years, but it's still very close to like that core game loop is basically the same. It's more eventful per hex than previous games, so it is a little bit of a slower one comparatively. But and the quest itself is also like I decided to push this one a little further with you've got like your big bad that you're trying to like Demon Lord and the original game. You've got like this big bad in a known location. You're like trying to get to them. You've got to get the item or like just get what you need to get them and beat the game if you can. This one has a little bit more of the kind of three-pronged quest where you're like, oh, I found the Sea Wizard's Keep, but I can't get inside. I need to go and figure out, there's options, but I got to find something that's going to get me inside. Once I've found something, once I've got inside, well, I still actually need something that's going to help me defeat the Sea Wizard. So there's like these three. I was just thinking a lot about things like some of my favorite fiction in fantasy has that kind of like, oh, you got a quest, but then you got to turn back and quest for this other thing and like a smaller one to like build up to get there. So I wanted to make this one a little more epic that way. And I've been super stoked with that feeling of like, oh, I got the item. Oh shit, I still have a long ways to go. But yeah, so that's a really long way of saying yes.
Very cool. And so I read the a version that you sent me that is a Word doc. So in 12 years classically there's a time limit.
Yeah.
Is there a time limit with this one? Because I don't know if I scrolled past it. I may have.
Yeah, there is. You still have 12 years.
Perfect.
12 years because every 12 years, like the ritual that the Sea Wizard is performing to try to find the corpse of his long dead bride, it's a 12-year long ritual. If you don't stop the ritual within 12 years, then he drains the sea and the rest of the world becomes flooded. But then he can't remember anything because he's so sick with grief that he just starts over again. Um, so that just also plays into like the cyclical nature of it is a core thing for like all the 12 years games. And I've been talking about this a little bit more with this one than I have previously, but every big bad, every like 12 years, the like Demon Lord, like at sea, like the core game, I always have some sort of allegory in mind that I'm kind of like working around. Like,
Yeah.
if you think about like I was feeling real depressed about capitalism when I made 12 years the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to get too deep into that, except for to say that, like, I spent a lot of time thinking about what if there's this enemy that you can never defeat? You can't win. Winning is just putting things off another 12 years, just making it so you can survive a little longer, keeping the world okay for a little bit longer while doom is still impending. And that is kind of how I like approach each thing is like, what is something in the world that just makes me feel hopeless? And then what if I try to just enjoy the process of the fight and the adventure against it, even though I know we're fucked.
No, things are going great. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right? So this one, ecological grief, is the term I've been using to talk about like the big inspiration for me. I've always kind of wanted to see how I could tackle something with environment without feeling like I'm hitting you over the head of like treat the environment good, recycle, like
Right.
more just trying to like expand on those feelings. Um, yeah, telling my kids don't go out to play. The air's toxic. Feels shitty.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, Ghibli-esque a little bit, where you can get the message across without a lot of people realizing that it's there, since, Ghibli is nothing but happy sunshine and verdant
Yeah.
hills,
Yeah, just don't watch Princess Mononoke,
Yeah.
Speaking
My
of,
favorite,
the Sea Wizard Ponyo is definitely an influence on 12
Yeah.
Years at Sea.
there we go.
A classic.
My favorite was always in or like my favorite like bit. Obviously, Mononoke is literally the entire thing is about like logic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But my favorite was always the river spirit in Spirited Away, and how many people don't get that. And it's great. Question. Has anyone beaten the Sea Wizard?
Not yet that I know of. I know that it's gotten close. So like this one is not as brutal as Demon Lord in terms of like Demon Lord is meant to be like NES Ninja Turtles difficult. And like 12 years was meant to be like you're gonna lose most of the time, but you'll win eventually. Demon Lord, I'm still waiting on somebody to tell me that they've won. I've gotten to the Demon Lord, and almost beat him, but never have it has it happened. And that's same thing with 12 Years at Sea so far. So I know it's possible, and I think that it's not as brutal as Demon Lord based on playtesting.
Reads less brutal. I haven't had a chance to run it because of my transitioning jobs, but it does read less brutal. So
It's also like the 12 years passes a lot slower in this one than in other games. So like in the other 12 years at sea or 12 years games. So that's a kind of there's two sides of that. One, it makes it a little less brutal because you're like not going to be. I did lose to the years passing, but it also extends the gameplay a bit, which I've enjoyed having some stuff that's like faster, and this one be like, oh, I'm going to sit down and play this in more sessions than maybe some other ones. But that part's less brutal. There's like sea monsters attack your boat before they attack you, so that's less brutal. But they also knock you, like you can get knocked overboard and just die because you fell off the boat. So there's still brutality.
Yeah, I've never beaten I've beaten I've beaten 12 Years plenty of times, but I've not beaten the Demon Lord. I think I've only even got to the Demon Lord like one time, of all the times that I've played it. But you were saying that this takes, I think at one point you said that there's more per hex, and that you just said this takes longer. What's the more per hex? Like what's the difference between 12 Years, Demon Lord, etc., and then this?
Sure. So there's a little bit more that can happen every time you enter a hex in this. So like I'm gonna pull this up real quick and just kind of walk through like so when you're rolling, you enter a new hex near like at sea. Um, there's you'll roll a die to see like your hex terrain, basically, right? Like same as core as like 12 years. There's a little difference of like you select a different die based on if you're adjacent to islands or not. So it just like plays with some of the probabilities of like encountering islands versus getting out to sea and just like it's just more open expanse. But in that, I'm just going to scroll down here and look at um, so if you have an island, if you run across an island, it's your basic like you roll to see which island it is, and this gets more broken out to like the Hexploring expansion. Every island type, there's 10 different island types, and they all have different encounters and creature tables. Um, but if you're just at sea, even if you get like one of the results is like calm seas. But if you get calm seas, then there's a portent. So some sort of thing happens. It's usually got to do with a bird. And that might be really like negligible. It might give you good luck, might be bad luck, or it could like spawn a little bit of a series of events. Um, I was just playing and I was like, cool, calm seas. And then an albatross just like flew in to one of my characters and they both died. And then it's like the party seeing this is like, oh my God, first off, an albatross just killed him. That's a terrible omen. So they freaked out and it started a mutiny. The mutiny happened and another person died, but also then turned out there's like three stowaways that they didn't know about that come out during the mutiny, and then more of them they fight until there's enough people to like just be on this boat, um, and the people dying adds like to that tension of the mutiny. So the mutiny checks can sometimes it's fast when it happens, but it is one of those things that you get these little chains that happen. There's still like a few like it might be a few minutes to work it out, but as opposed to that all started from a calm seas, whereas in 12 years, a quiet forest is just clearing. You just like go through, right?
So my brain went weird into a side thing. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. That's what it was. When you said albatross, I was like, albatross is amazing. It's such a good thing. It's such a good bit of thing. And then my brain said, where did that originate from? And it's Rime of the Ancient Mariner with the albatross around the neck. And yeah.
One of the first things I did when I started making this is I grabbed a copy of Rime of the Ancient Mariner that I have off the bookshelf and just like reread it. And I was like, of course I have to put an albatross in this.
No. Oh, literally all I think about, like, I don't know. Like when I hear albatross, that's literally the first and only thing I think about is like that it's an awful omen, like it being wrapped around someone's neck, like the whole thing. So like when I was reading the original playtest doc that you sent me and I saw the albatross, I was like, fuck yes, this is what we need. And also like if you're in the middle of the ocean, you pretty much have like fish, sea monsters, and birds, and that's the things that you're gonna be able to get. So got a lot of birds.
Surprises in there that you'll have to figure out, like how the hell what's a cat doing here floating around there.
It's like Flow, you know.
Yeah.
Anyone see the animated movie Flow?
I did not.
I haven't yet, but I will.
I hate cats, and I've seen it. The father of cats is not, apparently.
You're wrong for hating cats. The way you feel about cats is wrong. So
I feel that I'm not wrong. But
I
whatever.
love my cats very dearly, but I also hate them because every morning at 5 o'clock, one of them is like, "I know what will get you out of bed," and scratches and scratches and scratches at my door.
yeah, but you hate them in a playful way.
life.
Ryan hates them. So
Yeah, I hate love them. So
yeah.
sorry, Ryan. You'll have to, when you're dead, you're gonna probably be surrounded by cats because you know they live in the afterlife.
Yeah,
that sucks. I'll die with my snake plant in my arms, and it will come with me.
There you go.
My snake plant had a baby, and now I have to uproot the motherfucker to cut the thing off, and I'm very upset about it. But that is neither here nor there. Did you know a snake plant baby is called a pup, by the way?
Oh wow.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Anyway, so getting back to this. So mutiny is fun.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about mutiny, because that's not really a thing that happens in any of the other games. And if you're going to have a sea game, obviously you have to have mutiny. That's of course you have to, right? So first of all, like obviously you have to have mutiny. So when you were thinking of mutiny, tell me how, I guess as much as you want to say, whether how it works or not, sure. But also what point you were like, gotta have fucking mutiny in here.
I knew right away if I'm making a sea game, it's gotta have mutiny. I will say I made like 3 versions of 12 Years at Sea and threw them out because it just wasn't feeling 12 years. And it finally clicked that I'm like, oh, I'm not making a pirate game. This is not about naval warfare. This is like Clark Ashton Smith, Ursula K. Le Guin, uh, Edgar Rice Burroughs, like this stuff. I talked about this in the like Kickstarter, but like Harryhausen films, right? Like that stuff gets me, and just like I'm like thinking about like Odysseus, right? Like those that sort of like exploration and adventure, really feeling into like adventure on the seas as opposed to like the pirate naval combat. 'Cause like fuck the British Empire, whatever. I don't want to do a thing that's like uh really like imperial, you know? So like uh I was like, something's feeling off about this. Everything I did, I was like, just naval combat just didn't seem like it fit really into the 12 years vibe. And that stuff's super fun. I enjoy that. But then when it kind of hit me, I was like, no, I got it now. I just need to like rewatch some Harryhausen films and spend more time with some of this fiction. I love sorry, what was the question, Ryan? I just like rambled on about that. I lost my thread.
So how big of a deal is mutiny in 12 years?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. See, I just totally went off in a different direction. Mutiny is
that is literally what the Weekly Scroll is made of. I think 90% of everything we've ever said is just a rant or a tangent. So you're fitting right in.
Cool, thanks. So mutiny is, there's like, we talked about how this is a little less brutal in some ways, more brutal in others. Like there's also a lot more variety. So this adventure I just did recently, mutiny was a way bigger deal because once the tension starts hitting, mutiny checks increase the mutiny threat as well. So like the more it happens, the more likely it's going to keep happening. And almost all of my party was killed by each other as opposed to creatures. So it even got down to like there's 2 party members left. One of them is a pacifist. As long as there's 2 party members left, you can get into a mutiny. but because one was a pacifist, it just meant the other just murdered the other one. And that vessel needed at least 2 people to man it. So then he was marooned of his own doing. And I was like, that is so like seafaring adventure, sad despair. But the way the mutiny works is like there's a few events that can trigger a mutiny check. And there's a few events that like you add a mutiny point and you keep track of them. You roll a d12, and if you roll less than your mutiny points total, then a mutiny happens. Anytime a mutiny happens, somebody's gonna die. If there's any captains, it's got to be at least like captains always die first. Otherwise, it's a randomly rolled party member. Any stowaways come out whenever a mutiny happens. So you might have more party members you didn't like, you've got them, but they're in the hiding. You don't know who they are. And so you've got this like, it can end up changing the party dynamic. Luckily, you can't have a mutiny with one person, but that's basically how the mutiny works. So like, if somebody dies, that freaks people out, and they're more likely to have a mutiny. There's some of the portents I mentioned, like we talked about the albatross, things like that. Yeah,
There are a lot of birds.
there are
A
a lot
lot
of
of
birds.
birds. You got
when you're
you
at
got
sea, though, that's kind of all you really got.
a murder of crows, immediately followed by a duck swims by. You got a fly in your glass, still flying stuff. A pigeon crashes. A magpie, an albatross. Half this D12 portents table is birds.
Yep, I almost made it a bird portent table, but I spent a lot of time with like reading up on superstitions and like lore from like that, and so much of it is birds, which like Hunter mentioned, that's like all you got up there, right? Or maybe you mentioned that, I don't remember, but that's like all that's out there hardly, right? But then there's weird ones like I was like, oh, I definitely am putting this in. Apparently if a bucket floats by, that's a big deal. So there's things like that. Most of those do come from like sea lore. Not
Yeah, I mean, there's a
guaranteed
lot of
everything does.
sea lore stuff. No, and when you go to Importance Table 2, you really could have just flipped it together and made, because in Importance Table 2, you got a ladybird, you got a white owl, you got a raven, you got a swallow. You got you easily could have done an entire D12. I think there's 10 of them at least right now of all of birds across the two. So, and if you mix in the bugs with a black beetle and a spider, it is. But yeah, I mean Navy people, there's so much. What's really interesting, I read this thing a while ago about the English language and how much it's affected by things. And the two things that English language is affected by most, kind of, is more recently sports. A lot of the things that we say and the ways that we communicate are through sports. Or like language that people don't understand as a sports term. And part of that, there's so much of the language that we use that is nautical themed, that people don't understand is nautical themed. And as I'm saying this, I'm trying to come up with like all of the examples, but there's a million of them.
Take a different tack.
Yeah. Because you're tacking on a boat. Like there's so much, and it's really interesting. The nautical part is what I really read a ton about, because so much of like what humans did for a long time, once we started going across the oceans, was around water and boats, and that's how we moved stuff around. That's how we traveled. That's how we got cargo to and from places. So and a lot of people were so close to the shores for so long that it became a huge part of our language. And then more recently, a lot of our language, like I said, is based around sports.
Sports.
And like you gotta go to the meeting and get them to play ball. You know what I mean? You gotta get them to negotiate, things like that. But the amount of nautical references are crazy. And then even like, gosh, half the tattoos out there that people have are nautical themes still to this day. I don't think the nautical star is quite as popular it was when 2 decades ago when we were young. But that swallows, like all sorts of stuff, is all very, very much.
I have an anchor on my arm that says "never sink." Whatever. This is a joke, by the way. I do not have an anchor on my arm that says "Don't do the thing specifically anchors are made for."
Yeah. But even like tattoo culture in general kind of started as
a sailor
on
thing,
the water, as a sailor thing. So
Sailor Jerry, like who the alcohol is named after, the person who like brought tattooing here or something like that. I don't know.
Something about like the old traditional style tattooing and stuff. I think they're one of the people that popularized it or something. But yeah, it's just really interesting how much the ocean affects a culture without, I think, a lot of people realizing how deeply it's ingrained.
Another tangent. I did look up nautical terms, and dead in the water is a good one. Give them a wide berth, tie down loose ends, get underway. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, so much of the way that we communicate is nautical because we were so deeply tied to the ocean for so long. Yeah.
Well, it's cool to me that it also develops its own sort of culture and like set of lore, because I think a lot about lore being so grounded in location.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love fairy shit. You guys know this.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like I like fairy stuff from all over, but I especially get interested in like the old fairy stories of Ireland, right? Like, and it's fascinating to me that like sea lore, it's not about the locale, it's about the way you're like the mode of travel, right? Like, and it becomes its own sort of, it is geographical in that you're on the sea, but it's really like a different kind of geography.
Well, even different parts of the ocean have different stuff around it. Like, I lived on the East Coast for a really long time, and on the East Coast, everything is fucking nautical themed. Like, if you go to like the Jersey Shore or something, everyone's house has like ropes and wheels and anchors and all sorts of stuff. And then I moved to California, and everything out here is like tropical themed. Like, you don't really see a lot of like anchors and shit out here. You see like palm trees and surfboards and stuff. So it's like, I know it's a different ocean, Pacific Atlantic, but like it's still the ocean, and it was really interesting to me when I first got out here and realized how deeply different the culture around a giant body of water is, just based on which ocean you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had like, I lived on Whidbey Island in Puget Sound, so like very different Pacific, and there was a lot of like people like, we got ropes and a life saber thing, like sort of like hanging on the wall, or like a lot of glass balls. I don't know. And nets, things in nets.
Very nautical, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to submit one more partial tangent before we get back to actually talking things we're supposed to talk about.
Go for it.
I was scrolling through our Max Moon videos, and it's fun. You can watch Max's hair length grow over time. Like each one, your hair is progressively longer and longer, and it's the longest it's been in this one right now. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's growing off the screen at this point. You guys don't actually know where it stops.
Yeah, you have like 3 years ago when we did the first episode. But by the way, episode 17.
17. This is officially episode, what, 268?
Yeah, but due to the new numbering that we're doing, where we aggregate everything into one single line instead of it being like multiple series. This is what was it, Ryan? Sorry.
268, I think.
268. Yeah, that does sound right. Yeah, so in episode 17, you have very short hair, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. The first time we talked to you was 250 episodes ago.
Yeah, that's wild. Y'all have been steady making episodes.
Yeah, we still do this. Yeah.
Yeah, every now and then. But yeah, so gosh, what's interesting too is like there is so much in this compared to 12 years. Like, I was actually talking to someone recently about 12 years, and they had thoughts, I had thoughts, and it made me think even more deeply about 12 years and the thing that I really enjoy about it. And it is a little bit, what's the word I'm trying to think of here, that I don't want to say like scenic almost. Like, I can like pull it out, take a couple hexes, take the time to stop, grab some colored pencils, like draw my maps in, do all that kind of stuff. And how starkly different that is to like Demon Lord, which does feel just like brutal. When I really want to like torture myself a little bit, like I'll sit down and try to find a hellmouth and like go through the whole thing and then like die fucking immediately in Demon Lord. But 12 years, like I showed off, I don't remember what episode it was, but I literally have like a travel notebook that's literally just like a couple empty things and then like 12 years, Demon Lord, a campaign journal. And anytime I go out, I just grab it with me because I'm like, if I got 30 minutes, like I can do a couple hexes of this game just kind of casually. I think maybe casual was it. And
That
like
was
you
our
said,
last episode, by the way.
it was, God, the fucking blackouts I get while we're streaming is crazy. But this just feels like more dense. Like it's definitely something that I feel like a game that I would want to sit down when I have like more time, because like it feels like you said that each one is going to be a little bit more in depth and things.
Yeah, I think when I've been playing it, I'm doing it in like 20 to 30 minute sittings. And I wouldn't want to do any less than that probably with this one. Whereas with 12 years, I feel like in 20, 30 minutes, I could get through quite a bit. Um, I used to keep a little tiny tube of tiny dice in my pocket so I could just like anytime play it a little bit. Um, but yeah, so this one it is longer. Um, not not by a lot, but it definitely like one of the things I've been really enjoying. When I made 12 years originally, I didn't mind that there wasn't a ton of variety. Like the original one, it doesn't matter what hex you land in, the encounters and creature tables are the same. Then we did the exploring expansion, which I was really excited about to have a little more variety. Like if it's a marsh versus hills, you've got different possibilities, right? This one really leans into that even more so. So it's like, oh, I can play. I think even with the original 12 years, you can play two games and they can be very different from each other. But I feel like 12 years at sea, you can play two games and they can be 100% different from each other.
Cool.
So that's been fun.
One of the things that's in all the big expansions, because Village expansion is like you said, it's kind of more like an add-on to the game.
Yeah.
Demon Lord and 12 Years are similar, but like still different. But both of them still have hexploring and dungeoneering.
Yep.
So, how like you can't really dungeoneer.
Oh, that is a part of this.
Yeah. So tell me how. So explain how you kind of brought that into 12 Years at Sea.
So there's still dungeon delving, but it's rarer. And in this one, you can only find dungeons on islands. And unlike like in 12 years, you're like looking all around the land to find you like find a dungeon entrance here or find a dungeon here. Either the island has a dungeon entrance or it does not. So for a while I went back and forth on how to play with that. Like I was like, oh, when you get to an island, then you're gonna explore that island, and that was like way too much. So that was like, oh wait, if we let the island just be a hex, just like a sea hex, just like if you're in another hex, then it works totally. So it's rare to find a dungeon, and when you do, the thing that you're really, I mean, this is where it comes into like to get into the Sea Wizard's Keep to fight the big bad, you gotta get something that lets you get in there. There's a few things that can get you in there. It's like a magic key can get you in. If you learn the magic passphrase, that can get you in. If you find the Sea Wizard's staff, that can get you in. But there's not a lot that can open it. So you still have to do some dungeon delving to try to find some stuff. Though there's some ways around it. You probably could get through a whole game without having to go into a dungeon. Um, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, having the whole island just be a hex makes it like super nice to just be like, there you go, that's one right there.
Seems like a logical decision.
And then also, let me pull the thing up again. So tell me about that beautiful art.
Yeah.
Okay, so Caustic does amazing work. I've been wanting to work with him at some point in the future for something, and I just had only been focused on his color work, and it's so good and so cool. So I hadn't really considered him for 12 years stuff until I saw another piece that he posted that was black and white, and seafaring themed. I was like, oh my God, this is like 100% the kind of thing I'm looking for. So I hit him up. He was excited to do it and absolutely amazing to work with. Like everything that like just totally got the spirit of the game right away. And like every piece I think just really like um captures the like the exact vibes that I wanted to go for. It's got his work. There's this stuff he's doing with patterning that really I think gives it a more mythic element. It feels almost like it could be out of a book of like a I say fairy tale, but like not like a you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and I just love this stuff. And when the more I was looking, I was like, oh, this reminds me so much of Toby, and who I just adore. Um, and yeah, I love it. I love it very much. I think uh, it's cool to see his black and white work more. And I'm like, wow, this is I don't know. I just yeah, it's got this great energy and the patterning, so it like teeters between very representational and more abstracted as well. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, so when you said caustic, like there's someone that I followed on Instagram for such a long time, and it is interesting to see the black and white stuff because one of the things that I've always noticed about their work is like the vibrant, contrasting colors and
Yeah.
stuff. So it totally makes sense. But the what I have up on the page right now is like that last page in the thing where it's actually got like
Yeah.
the sea wizard with the sword and stuff. It's such a beautiful piece. Like the kind of like the angle that it's drawn from, everything, there's so much movement, it's gorgeous, and like not like perfect choice for this.
Yeah, that piece just kills it. I mean, like I look at that
Yeah.
every time I'm like, well, when I was doing layout, I was like, man, should I move this section up forward? I was like, no, it doesn't make sense to. But I was like debating changing the layout just because the piece I was like, oh, that's a nice reward as you're getting to the end of the book. You just see this amazing piece. But it felt a little weird to put such a beautiful piece towards the back. You know what I mean? Mm-mm.
I don't know. I think it's an appropriate place, like for like where it is in the book.
Totally.
It's almost like a build up. You're going through the book and you get towards the end, and it's like this the reading about the Sea Wizard, and there's like massive, amazing piece. I mean, but
Yeah.
the pieces throughout the entire book are like great. Like I really do love the like the sea monster, the kraken, and then the little ship that has like this very textured sail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up the browser page real quick over here because this is on Kickstarter right now. I know we said that a little bit at the top. Thank goodness for studio mode. So when people go back it, because like we said, it's already, gosh, it's almost got like another $600 since we started the show.
Oh, sweet.
So 12 Years at Sea, Into the Unknown Islands. It's on Kickstarter right now. It's got 24 days left. When people go back it, what can people actually get with the project? Not the 101 because that's long gone. But
Yes.
but what's all the rest
Yeah,
of what
wonder
else
who
can
got
they get?
that.
Some asshole. I don't know.
So we got, the PDFs are available. We've got like really the full line of 12 year stuff is all available. So it's nice to be able to get everything kind of in one spot for folks who are new to it, or if there's just some things you're missing. Um, and sticking with classic production, like we'll be screen printing the covers on beautiful paper that is like I love French paper, like made in the US. It's like funny that it's called French paper, but it's still like
Yeah.
and like screen print with like silver metallic ink for the like 12 years at sea. So it's like that blue and silver theme. Um, and then we've got like 12 years core. We've got all the different stuff. One of the cool new things I'm super stoked about is this. We're doing a 12 years T-shirt finally, and I talked about this before the stream, but like Perplexing Ruins has done some amazing work for 12 years, and it was really cool to like pull this classic piece out from 12 years that is the Perplexing Ruins depiction of the Lich King pulling the strings as there's like various like over like the landscape and like the sunken castle in the back. Yeah, so it's like there's just so much. Yeah, I love that piece. So we're using that for the t-shirt, and I think it creates like a really perfect rendition of like what 12 years is about in like one little rectangle, you know.
It's so great
Um,
because you sent me that and you're like, does this say 12 years? I'm like, I don't think anything else has ever said it more. That's literally a Lich King in the back with a castle. What are you talking about? Like, yeah,
Also, shout out
I'm so excited for
PR,
that.
man.
Yeah,
Amazing
love PR.
artist.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also someone just like fantastic to work with.
Yeah.
Like, and has a really strong sense of style. Like, you know, when you see a piece, you know he did it.
Absolutely.
Um, let's see here. Other things we've got I'm doing some new storage boxes. Are like these really beautiful magnetic like hinge open kind of cigar style boxes that will be screen printed. And also like in the lead up to this, I'm like, oh cool, I'm gonna have these custom made to print on so that they're like a higher quality than ones we've used in the past. Ever since I started doing boxes, I've just had this battle of like really trying to get the box to be as nice as I wanted to.
So
And so yeah, it's
different
that
is
exact thing.
similar to this or different than the last one?
It's gonna be the same style wise and look, but the difference is that the actual like construction material is a denser, rigid board, so they're gonna be heavier and a little bit more durable. So that's like one of the super nerdy things I'm excited about is like I like those boxes a lot and they're way better than the
Nice.
ones that I used to use before. Yeah. And then the new ones, I'm like, oh, cool. We're gonna do some just like step it up a little bit more again. Um,
And what pledge levels do you get the box at?
there's two different boxes. There's the blue one, which is a Kickstarter exclusive, so we're not going to have that available after the Kickstarter. And that's the sea chest level, where it's like you get the storage box, you get all the 12 years stuff, but you also get a special edition of 12 years that is blue metallic ink. It's the Unknown Isles edition that is also going to be Kickstarter exclusive. So those two things won't be available elsewhere. Then we've got the Salty Dog tier that is the one for folks who've been playing 12 years from the beginning. You probably have most of the stuff, right? I see your, yep. So that one's got that same box, but we're going to do that in the classic emerald green, just like the
Cool.
original 12 years cover. And then that'll come with the 12 years at sea zine and that t-shirt we were just talking about.
Hell yeah. I'm like so tempted to. I did back at the salty dog level.
Nice.
But I'm like, man, maybe I should do the sea chest. Maybe I just need another copy of everything just to get the blue box.
I've had people asking about this, and we didn't make the blue box available separately, and the real reason is because my God, screen printing on these boxes is difficult. It is not as easy. It's not as fast. It takes me a lot longer. And I learned my lesson when doing solitary defilement boxes. I had to do 500 of those, and it just about killed me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so I just got to put some limitations on these things a little bit more. My inclination is always like, I can do it. It's fine. Whatever. I'll make it available as an add-on, and then
Yeah, I'll
people
work
can
myself to the bone. It's no big deal.
uh, well, it's something I thought a lot about, and then people have been mentioning it, and I totally get it. And also, this is one of the things that comes with like sometimes making things myself by hand means I can be more flexible.
Yeah.
Like I can make some weirder stuff or smaller run stuff, but sometimes it also means I have to be more thoughtful about like, oh, if I do too much more, I'm not going to be able to do it myself, and I like doing it myself.
That's okay. I'll be very happy with a green box. So
Well, and that's one of the things too that I love about the work that you do and stuff. I mean, it makes me very sad that there are things that I don't have of yours because I know there's only like 10 in the world. So I know when you moved, the collected Abyss of Hallucinations working with Exalted Funeral, you're able to do bigger production stuff, but for smaller projects like this, saying there's only 100 sucks if you miss out. I think that also rewards people that like follow you more closely, know when it's happening, coming along, like waited at work at the computer refreshing for 5 minutes for the Kickstarter to launch so that they can get the one of one. Those kind of people, you know. So
There's always a balance between using it to kind of to manipulate behavior versus using it as a gift. And I'm always trying to keep it in that second mode of like, I'm trying to make something cool for people that they're going to enjoy and enjoy it being special. And with that may come that you also can't get it. So I don't want to lean into that in a way of like, oh, if I do it this way, I can really like, I try to, I do charge a bit more for handmade stuff because like it's my labor and I'm going to charge what I want to get for, so I'm doing it, right? But like, I also try not to charge, like, I see sometimes like things that are like, collectible prices and it's like it's actually just a different box you check when you're ordering it from the printer, and I get it, especially if it's like smaller run, but that's just not where my heart is, like um so sometimes I'm like scarcity when it is artificial is something I've been thinking about from the beginning with this, because there's definitely a scarcity aspect at play with a lot of the stuff I make. And I'm often like thinking, is that artificial scarcity or is that scarcity because I literally need to make sure I'm not working too much? Or I think I told you guys long ago when I did the first run of Abyss of Hallucinations, my hands got all swollen. I had to take 2 weeks off of printing to let my hands recover. Um, so I'm getting, but that's why I like get help when I need to get help. And also there's some things I'm like, I'm doing this. So yeah, you just tapped into the like Hunter and right, you guys just tapped into one of the things that there's a lot of things I kind of battle with. Even just like as Max Moon Games stuff has grown, like I don't sit in my basement screen printing and printing every page and folding with the bone folder and stapling everything myself anymore. I have like help, which is cool, and I've got like an awesome risograph printer who she does like the risograph printing and then like binds stuff that I screen. So it's like I still try to keep things like human when possible. But I do often kind of think about this thing of like got to be cautious about the idea of growth in general and like monetization and like all that. Like,
oh, you're doing capitalism wrong. Then you're supposed to,
you're supposed to
automate everything,
work for the highest quality profit.
Yeah, right. I want to do capitalism wrong. I also want to make money. So,
but I mean, that's like suffering from success, though. Especially, I mean, especially with what you do. And like I said, well, like when I first started following you and the scope of, Abyss of Hallucinations 1 to, I mean, look at, like I said, the collected Abyss of Hallucinations and the breadth that went and the scale that went. But then also, like you said, there's only going to be 100 of these boxes. You're still doing it by hand. So like there is a balance, and I'm sure that's hard to wrestle with, but it's not like you're saying, oh, there's only 100 and they're going to cost 5 times more than the green boxes. You know what I mean? Right. Like there's a difference between artificial scarcity and scarcity. It's when you manipulate to create that artificial scarcity, like you said, like these are 2 different covers of the book, like from the printer, they cost exactly the same, but this one's fancy, so I'm going to charge twice as much for this one. That's some bullshit. It's very different when I can pull something off the shelf where you sourced handmade paper and like have like handmade thread and like binded it yourself, and all this other stuff. Like that's a very, very, very different thing. And I very much have enjoyed that aspect of your work and respected that aspect of your work for a really long time. I'm really glad that it's still part of your work, even as you said, it's almost impossible to not grow a little bit. You would almost be like having to like, beat people away with the stick with some of the way that your projects have gone and stuff like that, to be able to like actively purposely stay small versus just allowing a natural growth to happen. And I think you've accomplished that like extremely well since, the years that we've known you.
This is also one of the reasons we haven't talked about this yet, but the merger with like the creation of Flaming Hand.
Oh yeah, Flaming Hand.
My buddy Jonica Stuckey, like, and previously like Blazing Worlds, like this idea of like, oh, we can like collectively share resources and work together because we have like a really similar spirit of like interest in like occult and gaming and stuff, right? And also like very like artist centric. Um, so that is a huge thing where it's like, oh, some projects will be a Flaming Hand project
Hmm.
and some will be a Maximum Games project. And like, but in all of it, like in those bigger projects, one of the things we're excited about is being able to like contract with artists and really celebrate their work and pay them well, like that sort of thing, and like do a little bit more mass production for that kind of thing where we do some bigger projects. And there's things that I get excited about working on that need to be a bigger project. And there's things I get excited about that are smaller. So it's nice to have that kind of like that partnership in place where we can kind of do both things and figure out which one fits in which space the best. And like I love publishing other people's stuff too. Like it's been really cool with Solitary Defilement. I love doing like, helping people get something produced in a way that they're excited about the physical attributes of it, right? And especially like even something like Fairyland, where it's like, I don't know. I love publishing things, and so some things will want to get wider distribution for. Some things will want to like screen print and like risograph print and bind with metallic blue staples or pink staples or something. So
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
something I've been excited about. That collaboration has been awesome. It's been great working with Jonica and like some of the artists that we've worked with. Like I don't know if you all saw, we just did like a it's up for pre-order now. It'll be coming out really soon. But like Eric Roper, we've got a little art chapbook of all Eric Roper stuff. If you're not familiar, absolutely check his work out. You probably have seen his art around over the years. Like if you've ever listened to Sleep, then you've seen Eric Roper's artwork. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the flip side of like, collaborating, trying to have a way to do some of these bigger projects too, and keeping the handmade side as well.
Yeah. I think these discussions are really important to have publicly too, because it's good for people who are interested in what you do to like remember that you're a person, and like the handmade stuff like is like a labor of love, but it is in fact like a labor. So
Yeah, that's
it's
the
good.
truth.
It's good to really keep that in mind, and make sure people understand like publicly, like, hey, it's just like, I think like not to talk shit about capitalism, right? But we're just such consumers that we don't always like humanize like the people running the company that we're buying from, especially like the small companies. And we're like, why isn't everywhere fucking Walmart and Amazon? Because then everything would fucking suck and everything would be low quality, right? You buy from these like small creators or small businesses, but they can't do the things at the scale that the
Yeah.
shitty things do, because they're doing it themselves and they are of a better quality, and you will get a better time with that product. But it will take, there might be less of them, or it might take longer to come out, or whatever have you. I think it's just good to talk about this publicly. Hi, Kat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean
also,
it's
oh, go ahead, Ryan.
no, go for it. No, go for it, please.
I was just gonna say, I also try not to like, I don't want to like judge anybody for like not doing what I do.
Yeah.
Like I
I
love my
will.
shit. You can, that's fine.
Yeah.
um, uh, I just like uh super appreciate people making stuff, and sometimes I'm like, oh shit, am I coming off like really elitist? And I'm like, no, I'm just doing the shit that I love, and other people like it. There's clearly people are interested in these things that are made like we've talked about capitalism plenty, right? We often want a thing that is like capitalism isn't the way you get this made, right?
Yeah.
Like um
Yeah, but we all suffer under capitalism. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately, all you can do is try to capitalism as kindly and ethically as you can, which I think is something that like you strive for. I mean, there's plenty of people in this space that don't do that. So it's really nice to again, I mean, there's a reason that you were on episode 17 and 250 episodes later we're still chatting and bullshitting, you know what I mean? It's because you're a genuine person and we really appreciate the ways in which you do the things that you do. And that's that's super important. One point Hunter made about like not being able to go up to scale, I think people in general have this inability to feel discomfort at all, and like even the discomfort of like waiting for a thing to arrive. Like, why is Amazon like a bajillion-dollar company? Because people want the thing they want, and they want it for an extra $2 at 5 to 10 p.m. delivery today, and can't wait 2 weeks for the thing to be handmade and sent to them. And that's why big businesses thrive with, this is what the Luddites were actually fighting against, people. It wasn't against technology. It was against shitty technology that profited the ownership while giving you a worse product, right? Like,
well, it also worsens culture. Like,
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with wanting something to be here a little quicker and being willing to pay a little more for it. But there is something wrong with creating a system that destroys a culture in favor of something that will keep pointing people back at you and essentially create addictions, right? Like,
Yeah.
so many things we complain about with capitalism are because people are creating addictions to monetize. And it's like, I don't know. It's heartbreaking sometimes to think about, like, yeah, I do want this here tomorrow. I will pay $2 extra. But my God, I was happier when I had to wait 6 weeks because my Doctor Strange Records mail order catalog or whatever it was, when I wanted to get like the 69ers, I had to like mail in money and wait for them to mail me my record. Like, um,
yeah,
I, yeah.
yeah, capitalism. So stretch goals. We already hit the first one, which is a digital soundtrack, but that's the only one I see listed here. Is that we have even more stretch goals waiting. We will update as they unlock. If you don't want to say what the next goal is, can you say when the next goal is? Because
I have to find out when the next goal is, because we hit that stretch goal while we were, I think, in this, or like right before this or something. So I was like, I haven't unlocked that yet, but it is unlocked now. And we will have like a physical cassette that people can add on if they want, but everybody's getting the digital audio too. Um, the next stretch goal. Okay, let me pull this up and see where I've got actually like the amount and what that is, because I can't just keep everything in my brain.
I can barely keep anything, so
Yeah, same. So, all right, let's see here. Might take me a minute.
that's okay.
Oh, you're good.
We'll wait. Yeah.
We'll just yell more about capitalism.
It's also a weird thing to be like, here, listen to me vent about capitalism. Buy my stuff.
Hey, listen, whatever. We live under a yoke. We didn't put the yoke on ourselves.
There you go. Yeah. We're getting, and I was gonna say we're getting freer after 200, but I think we would have just said the same shit before. Yeah. We've already been yelled at in our Discord for using the word fascism, and it's like, are you really coming into our Discord and like language like policing me on my own fucking podcast?
Yeah.
Like, use safety tools.
All right, let's see here. Where's my? I'm gonna.
Oh, Ryan, I can't stand you.
Oh, the next stretch goal that we're talking about is like a fold out, like quick reference sheet, like
cool.
poster, though, like, because this one's going to need to be bigger, so it's not going to be just like a 8.5 by 11, like, so
yeah,
that one is the next one that we're discussing, and I think that it's going to be 10,000, but
10,000. We're almost there already.
I bet you hit that by the end of the day.
Like, this has, I was definitely hoping we would get to like 8,000 by the end of the day. I'm very pleased with how things are going. It's nice, and it's probably like, yeah, it's been going better than we hoped, and that's awesome. Yeah, we got some cool stuff planned though. Like, I mean, I don't know if we'll get to it in the stretch goals, but maybe. But I hope that we can make it like a 12 years at sea campaign journal that's like specific 12 years at sea.
Cool.
So that's one of the things that we're looking at. Yeah.
It looks like, as of right now, the most popular tier that people are snagging is the essential seafarer, is the straight up just regular one with the goal. But you got a lot of people that are coming in for the sea chest, like the whole kind of kit and caboodle in the box.
Yeah, that's been nice. I'm glad I was curious because I know like a lot of folks probably already have stuff, especially the like first day backers, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but what I've been most surprised by is we don't have a single backer in the Sirens Call, which is 12 years at sea and 12 years. So I was like, oh, that's
That
cool.
just means that everybody already has 12 years. You know what I mean?
I think, yeah, I think a lot like people who don't have 12 years are like, oh, I want all of it, which is cool. I love that.
Yeah. It's like I just need the new thing, or I want everything. Like that's
Yeah,
what we're
yeah,
going for here.
yeah.
God, I can't even. So my problem with 12 years, which go watch another podcast for that, is I got to a point where I was like, wait a minute, now I need every printing of 12 years. And I think I might be missing one, but I have like a first printing, a second printing, a third printing, a fourth printing. At some point I need to sit down and count, because I think we already figured out that I now have more 12 years than you do.
Yes, you
Um,
do. Yep.
yeah,
You just
which
barely,
is
but you do.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's only because you sent me some of like the original stuff, which I've showed off on the show before. But we'll have to go through we'll have to go through it again once we get this and the thing. So 12 years at sea. Just in case anyone is sitting here and debating whether to get it or not, I guess like what's the last thing that you could say just about 12 years at sea, and about this project?
So I'll first say something just a little more broadly about 12 years. Something I think that I have loved about this and is intentional in making this whole thing is like a, a solo game that's going to get me to sit down with paper and a pencil and no screen and just like be in that and just like play for a little while. And I
Mhm.
don't need to do like a big like journaling thing or like try to hack another system. We just want to capture that like campaign feel with one person and get back to these like the nostalgia that I have for when I played role-playing games and I was like 5 and there's no D20s. I was just like, D&D 5e has decided to worship the D20, so fuck the D20. Throw it out. That's one of my guidelines is we're not using a D20 ever. um, and so there's like that 12 years at sea, I think like it's a really beautiful thing to just like be in your head imagining and just these are like prompts and the drawing that it asks you to do just a little bit. You don't need to draw well. It's just a little
Yeah.
doodle and a hex, but it's such a nice way to spend time. And that's kind of the goals. I want to make like this thing that's just like a nice way to spend time, create these little senses of adventure. And man, it's fun having an adventure on the sea. Um, I guess that's my last little
There
bit
you go.
on
Oh
here's why
yeah.
you should play it.
Yeah. I will say, when I first found 12 years, I had started looking at solo games, and the solo journaling thing, it just didn't grab me. And when I got 12 years and I read 12 years and it was a solo adventure game, I was like, this is what I want to do, for the exact reasons that you just said. That's why I have a travel journal, to just be like, I might get 20 minutes. Like I can just, like you said, not sit on my phone at the doctor's office and actually just like do something and draw a little thing and do whatever. So that's, that's one of the reasons I love it. I'm so excited for this project. Obviously, I have a preview version. I've got to play around with it a little bit. So very excited for that. But this is going to come out. I highly recommend everyone just go get everything if you don't have it, and everything from Max in general. That's what I do. And we didn't even talk about the 101 because you guys can't have it because it's gone. So that's it. But
I'm excited to make that for you. The Tears of the Sea Wizard bottled, and we're gonna make that custom ring, the ring of the Sea Wizard's Bride. So it's like the two core like relics of the game.
Oh
Come
yeah.
to life.
yeah,
Um,
very excited. Very excited. Um, But I think that's gonna be us for today. Max, you're always welcome. Please come on the show. Even when we said no guests, we didn't say no friends, which means you're always welcome anytime you want. We would love to play more Rumpus, and we talked about that a little bit before the show started.
Yes.
So when that actually comes around, we'll make sure to let everyone listening know. Because as we said in our last episode, we're going to be getting more into skirmish games. So even though we've talked about it on the show, we played it on the show, we're going to get even deeper with Rumpus. So very excited for that. So please come back sooner than later. We'll love to have you on again, and go back 12 years. We'll make sure the links are where you think links are.
Thanks. Great to see you all.
Great to see you.
See you, Max.